Hi, in this podcast, we have discussed with Lucas Paganini, who is a CEO and founder of Envoid.com, and he has his own YouTube channel named as Lucas Paganini, where he taught mostly on Angular and CSS and JavaScript stuffs. So in this podcast, we have discussed on how a mindset of an employer and employee should be. By watching this or by listening to this, you will get an idea of what the thought process of an employer while hiring someone. It will also going to help you if you are starting a business. So please watch the video till the end or listen to the podcast till the end and let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the podcast. Hey everyone, today we have a very special guest and one of my friend is Lucas Paganini. First of all, welcome Lucas to my first podcast episode, and it's a very honor for me to have you on the show. And I would just like to touch upon what motivate you to start a new company, or what motivate to you like to go from doing development ourselves to hire people, create a venture. Because I know it's a different game. Like when you're alone and developing, everything is doing as you are want to do. Now you have to manage things, so that's a pretty different game. So what's the motivation and how you deal with that?
Okay. Um, First off, thank you for making me look like a celebrity. I appreciate the introduction. And also, thank you for inviting me for the first episode. I feel very flattered about this. I didn't know that this would be the first one. You caught me by surprise, Brett. But yeah, man, thank you. And let's get to it. Okay, so
Yeah.
why did I wanted to build a company? Honestly, I I think I just needed the autonomy to do something that I would have more control to do it the way that I thought was best. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that could do a better job than I. I'm pretty sure that there are people that could be better CEOs than me and they could take care of my company better than me, that have more years of experience and et cetera, et cetera. But I also saw much more people that could not do something better than me. So um, I just knew that there were companies being led by individuals that even if they were trying to do their best, um, I don't think they were achieving the results that I thought that I could achieve. It's really hard to say that in a way that doesn't make me sound like an ass. But it's pretty much like that. Like honestly, I looked at CEOs from other companies that I worked on, and mainly small companies or companies that my friends uh, were working on, and I just knew that there were companies that were doing really good, and I always thought, damn, how did they got to this point? But most companies, I always had this feeling of hmm, this experience could be better. I'm not even talking about
Yeah.
um, the management side of things, but I was really focused on the service or the product that they produce, and I always thought I could do better. Like I could train people to execute the service better. I could train professionals to develop a better product. I could blah blah blah. Like I always had those experiences where I had a feeling of I know how to do better, and I think I could beat this company to market. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just I tried to not be an entrepreneur for a while. Like I had a marketing agency um, when I was finishing college. When I was finishing college, so I have a degree on marketing. Marketing applied for entrepreneurship. Yep, that's a thing. There's a university here with marketing applied for entrepreneurship, which I'm very grateful for, because it's not an academic focus. Like it's not focused on just doing a lot of researches, although they are relevant, but it's much more focused on marketing to create your own business and make it succeed from the start up until it becomes like a huge company. And after I finished this graduation, like I opened my own marketing agency, and
Mm-hmm.
this was like years after working as an employee, so I was pretty frustrated with the past experiences that I had, and especially the digital marketing agencies that I worked on. Like quite frankly, I felt bad. Like I felt really bad. There were days that I I felt bad at myself when I wasn't trying to go to sleep because we were selling our services to companies, and I didn't think that we were doing a good job. And there was a period where I worked in the
Mm-hmm.
sales department of this company, and it just made me feel bad, like for real. Like I had this feeling that I was selling something to companies that would not help them. It would just drag them down more because they would make an investment that would not bring them returns. And those companies, they were like small companies looking for digital marketing agencies to try to improve their businesses. Like they weren't going so well and they needed help. This is why they were looking for a digital marketing agency, and I didn't believe what we were selling. Like I thought it was too expensive and the results were not good. And so I hated that
Mm-hmm.
experience, and I opened my own agency to solve that. So for example, instead of having everything streamlined and standardized as most marketing agencies had, I did everything extremely custom to the client needs. And I
Mm-hmm.
charged only 30% of the price that other agencies used to charge. So other agencies would charge 1,000, I would charge 300. Not because um, I didn't thought that my service had value, but because I didn't think that they should pay more than that for the service. I thought that that was the fair price for that. And yeah, so like in this particular scenario, what drove me to open the business was that I knew that I could do better, and I even had this purpose of doing better enough so that companies could have a marketing provider that wouldn't screw them up, basically, so that I don't curse in the
Yeah.
podcast.
Sorry for cutting you up. You told that you don't want to be an entrepreneur, but I think you are a born entrepreneur. So this this is normally how the entrepreneur thinks. If first you got to a company, then you don't like what they do, and then you just do what you don't like and what you think is not ethical to your client or to your customer, and then you just go and deliver that uh, to by yourself. Sorry, continue.
No problem. Yeah, that's exactly it. And then what ended up happening was that I like how did I got here, right? Because I'm talking about the time of my life where I had a marketing agency, but now I'm the CEO of a
Mhm.
software development agency, which is focused on Angular development. So how did I got here? What ended up happening was that for since I was responsible for everything in my agency, I always had the thought that I couldn't hire a professional if I didn't knew how to do his work myself. Because if I don't know how to do this person's work, I don't know how much I can expect from this person. Like, how can I tell you how fast you
Mhm.
should deliver your work if I don't even know how hard it is? You know, it's really hard for you to
Yeah.
push expectations to your employees when you don't know how hard it is for them to do what they do. Like, even like this podcast that we are recording, it sounds so simple. Like, people are going to think, like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is so simple. You just, uh, like start recording and talk
Record
about
and
things.
post.
It's so difficult, like to come up with subjects, to figure out the strategy of the show, um to like invite the right guests, record everything with high quality, edit everything afterwards. This takes a lot of effort. And if you never did it yourself, you will never be able to appreciate the work of others that can do that.
Yeah.
And one thing that was really common for digital marketing agencies was that clients wanted the agency to also do pages for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just landing pages, not entire websites, but landing pages that you could target your ads to. And I had to create those pages. So I started studying more about web development so that I could create that. Um, in this period, I started to get a lot of interest in web development. I had
Mm-hmm.
already had some contact with programming before because I had a technician's degree on electronics. So I learned a bit of C and I think C++ too, and VBA to code to make formulas on Excel, um, to make macros on Excel. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I kind of hated that at this point of my life. Like C was extremely boring and it was too much work just to make a lad go on and off. So, yep, I was not interested in programming at the time of my life. But when I was learning programming to code landing pages, somehow it felt different because I had a clear goal. Like I never had the goal of making a lad go on and off. But now I had a clear goal of I want to build this website or this landing page. So having a clear goal of why I was learning those things made me a much more interested in the subject of web development.
Mm-hmm.
And I got so interested in that I kind of lost my entire interest for digital marketing. But of course, I couldn't just stop my business because I had this ethical responsibility for my clients and my employees. Like I wouldn't just leave them out hanging. So what I did was I communicated to my employees that I didn't want it to work with digital marketing anymore. I also communicated that to the clients. I helped all the clients to migrate to other companies. Um, and I also helped my employees to find good jobs in other digital marketing agencies, either by recommending them or by like actively pushing them to other opportunities and saying like, "Hey, this looks good. Maybe check this opportunity," and then the person would apply, and I would recommend them, and everything would turn out to be fine.
I just want to ask one question, like how hard this decision, mostly pivoting your business model completely, like from a digital marketing to developing sites, or uh, maybe consulting for other technical consultants. How hard that decision is.
I know that it sounds like it was a very, very hard decision on my part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like you decided to um, get rid of your company to become an employee again and like, or maybe not an employee but just work with something else. uh, why? Like you had so much work to build this thing. Like I had registered my brand and made a website and etc. I already had clients, so why give up on that? And quite frankly, it was very, very easy money. Like I could have kept that. I just didn't want it
Mm-hmm.
to keep the burden of that, but I could have like easily. But I wanted to focus completely on web development. Even though it sounds like a huge decision, it really wasn't that hard because I knew that I could get paid really, really well as a developer because during this period that I had to learn to create landing pages. This sounds like a really small task, like, oh, he was just like coding some landing pages and then suddenly he wants to
Yeah.
become a full time developer. But I don't, this storytelling doesn't fully communicate how much I dove deep into web development. Like in the span of 6 months, I did more than 300 courses on web development. Like every day, I was doing more than one course. I was like just consuming them madly. And I
Mhm.
was also taking care of my responsibilities with my business. Um, and I was also helping my father because my father had a company which was one of my clients. And but since he was my father, I didn't treat his company just like the other companies. Like I almost treated his company as if I was the the chief marketing director of his company. Like I was
Mhm.
extremely involved in his. I did way more than to all other clients, and I never charged him for that. So I was spending like a lot of hours helping my father's business, maintaining my company. So I wasn't trying to grow my business, but I was maintaining it and still doing a lot of courses. So I got like really, really specialized in that. And like I even developed some software for my father's company, like some internal systems to optimize the integration between all the departments in his company. So like he has an accounting office, and I developed like a system so that um, they could more easily communicate the tasks that they were doing and
Mhm.
coordinating things. Like it was just something to automate the internal workflows. And I learned a lot while doing all those things. So I knew for a fact that if I were to look for a job, I would be ranked as senior Angular developer for sure because I had a
Mhm.
lot of depth on that. At this point, I had done like more than 15 courses just on Angular, and I had dove deep into a lot of things that weren't even documented. So, server side rendering, for example, was really
Yeah.
important. If you were to create
Mhm.
pages for marketing, like you needed to have good SEO, so you needed server side rendering. And server side rendering with Angular was very obscure. Like there were no docs about it. Nobody was talking about it. It was really hard to make that work. So I had to like
Yeah, I can
dive
relate.
deep into the internals.
Yeah.
You also had to do that. It was for server side rendering or something else.
Yeah, for the thing when Universal came to the picture due to the SEO, I think nowadays, if I remember, the Google's crawler is a JavaScript crawler, so it can go and fetch the Angular tag and try to render, and sometime it can render can index lot of your things, but not all. Like if you have a server side render and everything comes as a all meta tag and everything, like all links and like that. So I also like initial days when the universal came to the picture, we have tried very less document. I think, yeah, same for me, same case for Angular. When I started, I think Angular was in beta version, and what we decided to change in my first company is a old Java project. It was in servlet, so Java servlet to Angular, and we don't know that Angular is this new, so no support, nothing. And it was in beta, so that I know the pain. Like if you are learning a pretty new thing.
Yeah. So having to deal with that and actually making that work gave me a lot of confidence that if I were to look for a full time job as a developer, I would be highly valuable to any companies looking for a serious professional. Like if I were to look for a company that would want like 5 years of experience, then I would be damned. But if I were to look for a company that looked for a candidate that really knew his thing, it didn't matter like for how long he's been doing that, then I knew that I would be just fine. And so that's what made this decision easy for me. It didn't felt like I would be giving up into a secure, stable source of income for something
Hmm.
completely uncertain. And
Yeah.
I knew that I also had okay, this is also another point which is really important, and quite frankly, I only remembered that now. Like one of the major reasons for me giving up on my business and focusing on becoming a software developer instead of keeping it and becoming a software development was that I wanted to leave my country. I wanted to go
Okay.
to another country. So I live in Brazil, and most Brazilians have this dream that somehow, if you go to the United States or Canada or Europe, like life is gonna be so much brighter, everything's gonna be so much better. And so I also had this dream
Mhm.
of mine. And I actually wanted to look for a job that wasn't remote. I wanted something in person. And so I was giving up on my business also because I knew that I couldn't maintain that if I also had to move to another country.
Mhm.
But it turned out that this was completely unnecessary. Like I could have kept my business just fine because I actually got a job as a remote software developer first. I was looking for something in Germany, but then the pandemic hit and
Oh.
I couldn't go anywhere. All like the whole world was closed, and then what I thought was, okay, so I already closed my business. And now that I'm ready for that, the pandemic hit. So let me at least try to find something remote. And then this can give me some money so that when
Mhm.
I can go to the country, I don't depend on the first months of salary that I'm going to get there, because that was also something that I was really afraid of. It's like if I go to this country and then for some reason I lose my job in the first weeks or something, then I'll have to like move back because I won't have money to maintain myself there where I look for another job. So I thought let me make more buffer working remotely for those companies abroad, and then when the world gets back to normal, then I can just move there. And then I got a remote job from a company in the United States, which turned out that would pay me even more than the in person jobs in Germany, which
Yeah.
was funny. And it also turned out that the pandemic took a while. It took a while to stop. So
Like
I
why
just,
took that decision? Like you might
yeah,
have asked. First of all, like your one myth is brushed out. Like it's always better to go out. So that is gone. Now again, you want to come to Germany. You get a better offer. Now you have a thing like oh, money or Germany or so which one you choose?
uh, that's the thing. When the pandemic was over and I could go to another country in person,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was already established with my own company. So
Okay.
just moving there wasn't even an option. So in this period, while I was
Mm-hmm.
working remotely, I actually loved, like deeply loved the company that I started working on. Like they were extremely uh, kind people, excellent professionals. They valued me both financially, but not just that, like they actually valued my opinion, which they very
Mm-hmm.
well could just have ignored me because I was literally the single Brazilian in the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else was from the United States. I was the only Brazilian there. And like, let's be honest, a lot of people have preconcepts with South Americans or Indians or
Yeah.
whatever, and they didn't. And in fact, they really, really knew how much I knew about web development. And they would come to me and ask for my opinion on what they were doing. And like, they were older than me. I was the youngest from another country, a country that is generally looked upon as having lesser professionals by
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, and like they were paying me the same thing that they would pay to a senior developer from their country. So I just really liked how they treated me well and how they valued my input. And so I really wanted to give everything to make this company grow and become like highly successful. So when I joined, it had like only 10 people. It's still relatively small. I don't think it's more than 25 at this point. But now I'm not an employee anymore. Like during this period, we have migrated from me being an employee at this company to me hiring my own team in Brazil. Like I assembled my own company,
Mm-hmm.
and I did this to take care of a side project that they had. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna cancel the side project," and I was like, "Really? Do you want to like uh, push that to me and I can take care of it?" And they were like, "No, but we want you to focus on our main product. We don't want you
Mm-hmm.
to lose the focus." And I was like, "I get it, but like I can hire people, I can train them, give support to them, and they can work on the side project. So you would hire
Mm-hmm.
me as like a contractor for the side project, and I would take care of it. But I would do that outside my hours that are focused on the main project. So you wouldn't lose my focus on the main project." And they agree with that, which again, that was awesome. Like a lot of companies could have said like, "No, I want you to be my employee. I want to have full control. I don't want you to have your own business, your own team, whatever." And they were like, "No, okay, I trust you. You do great work. I trust that this is going to work." And so I assembled my team to take care of the side project for them. And
Mm-hmm.
then at some point, like they were extremely happy with the results that we were having, both me as an employee in the main project, but also me as
Mm-hmm.
a contractor for this side project. And then I said, "Hey, can can we also do the same thing for the main project? Like, can I put my team to work on the main project too, and then I can lead them?" And they were like, "Yeah, for sure. Actually, let's even increase the investment." I'm like, "Oh man, I love you so much." So yeah, like this company was like a blessing in my life. Those professionals, they
Yeah.
are like extremely focused on the actual results, and they don't care about uh, my age. They don't care about where I'm from. They just know that I do great work, and they trust and respect my work, which I highly appreciate. And so during this period, I transitioned from being an employee to having my own company, and then having this client, which used to be my employer, uh, as a client for my company. And so this is how Envoid started. It started with this first client.
You have put your own seat on the company, like I put say that you have pitch yourself as a be start as on board, and then I think Unvoid mostly runs on Brazil, or how, like,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, yeah, it's a pretty interesting story, man. Like I thought like a different way, like how you might have start a company, but it's pretty good. Like where you have are working, then you extract the work from there because you already have a mindset of entrepreneur. So maybe a business mindset. Normally, if I compare to myself, so I mostly didn't never thought about this way, like what I thought, like how much I can do. I think nowadays slowly I maybe by seeing a lot of videos or by meeting with uh, like people like you, now I'm getting that initially I have a mindset of doing everything by myself. I think that's the most developer want. I think if you guys are watching also, you have, I know you have a mindset of like doing everything by yourself. But if you want to start a business or if you want to grow, you can't do everything by yourself. You have to delegate things. So that's a different mindset. Unfortunately, it came to me long back to my career. I think I'm in the software development for almost 7 years. So just before maybe 1 2 year, I know that okay, this is the thing. So because why I'm saying it, I have also attempted to start some companies, but I try to do everything by myself, like development, marketing, gathering data, to like I also haven't, maybe I don't have anyone to pitch, uh, or the circumstances are different, but this is the main reason why I'm not able to succeed on a better level, is that I don't delegate things. Like I start it, they give it to someone to maintain, and you can focus on to grow it to a better scale. So coming back to your company, like Unvoid, so what it's currently do? I think it's now only handling the work you have kept from the company, or also it's going and asking for different clients as well.
Before I go into that, I'm gonna touch on something that you mentioned now, which maybe can slip unnoticed for
Mm-hmm.
the audience. But I think this is really relevant because it took me a while to realize that. But now that I see it, it's like so clear how important it is. And it's the fact that becoming an entrepreneur is not, it's also has levels. For example,
Yeah.
when you become an employee, you think, oh, but there's intern, trainee, junior, plain, senior, specialist, consultant, whatever. When you think of becoming an entrepreneur, you think like, oh, I own my own business. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
No, like there are also levels. Like there's the point where you're starting the business and it's only yourself. And then as soon as you hire people, you get promoted to the owner of a small company. And as soon as
Yep.
this company grows more, you get promoted to being an owner of a medium-sized company. And after a while, you get promoted to becoming the owner of a big company. And each of these scenarios demand you to act differently and have
Mm-hmm.
different responsibilities. So in the beginning, yeah, you're going to have to wear a lot of hats. And
Yep.
even the professionals that you're going to hire, you need to look for people that are okay with doing different things because the tasks are going to vary a lot. So you need really strategic professionals. You can't just hire somebody that is going to do a single task because that's probably not going to work for you in the beginning. You're going to need professionals that are more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying that because I don't think that it's necessarily wrong that you try to do everything yourself in the beginning, but I do think that it is wrong if you if you take too long to hire at
Yeah.
least the first employees because it makes it
Mm-hmm.
real. Like as soon as you have an employee, like you have a responsibility with this person. It's not that you're just paying them a salary. Is like they are betting their time with you. Like it's time of their life that's not gonna come back never again. Like they're putting their years and months of life to work to execute the vision that you have. So this is really really important to me. Like the companies that I had, it didn't took me long to hire the first employee. Maybe it took me
Mm-hmm.
long to hire the second and third, but the first was pretty fast because that made it real to me. That made it uh, a big responsibility, and that put enough pressure into myself to not have an excuse of, oh, today I'm tired from my regular employee job and I'm not going to do anything for my company because now I have people that depend on me. And if I don't do my part, then maybe they won't have tasks to do because in the beginning, people are only going to have tasks if you give them
Mm-hmm.
tasks. So if you
Yeah.
don't do your part, they're not going to have things to do, and then you're going to pay for an employee at the end of the month that didn't had anything to do, and that was your fault. And so that was really important to me. So hiring the first employee is like a major mark to be sure that the business is going to succeed. If I didn't hired my first employee, which by the way is with me here today, so hey Paulo,
Hey,
he
bro.
he is
Yeah.
my
Hi, Paulo.
videographer. He is my videographer,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was really important for me to hire him because it forced me into creating content. I needed
Yeah.
to create content because I had a videographer, and if I don't produce content, there's no video for him to edit. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. And after that, the challenges become. really, really different as you grow as a company. But I would say, just if you want to build a business, like, start on yourself, but don't take too long to hire somebody. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. I can totally relate. I did mistake twice or thrice. Maybe it's a different kind of scenario. Maybe it's a cultural background as well. Like we don't have a mindset of spending money with things which we can do. I'm just saying from where I came from. Like if you can do something by yourself, just do it, and that's not how business work. I think coming back to your story, like you told about hiring employee. So I maybe the people are watching us. A lot of people are want to know that what a different mindset a employer has when hiring someone. Suppose I'm giving an interview, so what I will just check on, like, go on study so Angular, or maybe do some data structure algorithm, so people are going to ask. So nowadays if you see a interview structure, like for big companies like Fang or Mang, all those companies, like they ask you DS algo. You don't need any working experience for that. You just need to do lead code and gig for gigs and lot of programming. If you do that, you will succeed in those rounds, maybe 2 3 rounds on that. Then if you are applying for a senior, they will ask you a system design round and those on. So for that you need experience. So how, oh, in Envoid, how you hire people, I want to ask you that. And more than that, what's the mindset behind hiring someone? Like what you see upon while doing the interview.
Okay. I like that question because now we can also provide value to on the other side of the coin, right? Like the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
podcast was heavily focused on people that might have an entrepreneurial mindset and want to
Yeah.
open their own business, do their own thing. And now we can talk about things that are more relevant to people that are employees and they want to be employees, like they are happy with that, which is totally
Yeah.
fine. And it is the case with most people. Okay.
Like I am.
Perfect. I'm gonna give a word of caution before answering that because I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
sound like this is the universal answer. This is gonna be how I do things at Envoid because hiring processes are too company specific. You really need
Mm-hmm.
to like every company can do it differently. But
Yeah.
there is a standard way. There is like the common way in which most companies do it. And then there are companies that have some particularities. The standard way is looking at your resume. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
the classical way of hiring candidates. You look at the resumes, you pick the ones that you like the most, and then you do an interview and hire. So it's a two-step process. Review resumes, and then interview, make the final decision. Um, this is pretty flawed. Like, in case anyone is listening to this and thinking that this is a good idea, it's not. It's definitely not.
Yes.
Um,
The old
resumes,
school idea, right?
yeah, old school idea, totally. Resumes are pretty bullshit, quite
Mm-hmm.
frankly. Like there are resumes that are just very pretty, but they don't have substance. If you like try to talk to the person, they don't really have too much substance. Um, it's also like sometimes you see, oh, this person worked at this gigantic company and they had this role. Yeah, but you don't really know how it was the day to day. Like sometimes this person got carried out by the team members. You can't get those informations just by looking at the resume. And then you might think, yeah, Lucas, but this is why I have the interview, so that I can make sure that this person is legit. First, no, you can't really make sure that the person is legit in just one interview. It's just not enough time. You need to see the person in practice, in action.
Mm-hmm.
And second, You are thinking about the fact that the professionals with the best resumes are gonna be the better ones, and then you just have to make sure that they are legit. But from my experience, the best candidates are the ones that have the terrible resumes. Like,
Yeah.
I am pretty happy when I see candidates with terrible resumes, because the first thing that comes to my mind is, hell yeah, there are a lot of stupid companies out there that are not giving a chance to this person, and it might just be an excellent professional that like other companies are haven't identified. So to me, I think that this is like an opportunity. It's like there could be greatness there. And then what I do at Envoid is, first, I don't even look at resumes. We don't even
Mm-hmm.
look at them. I don't really care. Like, we do get the resumes of the candidates just because we might use that as a source of topics to bring in the interview if we get to that
Mm-hmm.
stage. But I don't use that to filter the candidate in the first stages. I just use that to bring topics during the interview. So, how does it work at Envoid? We have many stages in our hiring process. First, of course, we open the row um, in all the platforms that make sense to that row. So, for example, there are job platforms that are more specific to developers. There are platforms that are more specific to
Mm-hmm.
designers. There are platforms that are more general. So, if I'm opening a design row, then I'm going to open in the general platforms and also in the design specific platforms, and so
Mm-hmm.
on for all the other jobs. I record a video for that row talking about how it is to work at Envoid and
Mm-hmm.
what will be expected of this professional. And it's not like a basic video. I go to the studio, I do like a high end quality editing of that because I want the candidates to know that I value them. Like, I want them to look at that and be like, damn, like this is completely outside of the normal. Like, big companies don't do that. And this company is doing that. Like, they are special. um we even do like animations in the video, like some small details, but like we put some emojis and things like that. Anyway, it's like a video that I would put in YouTube. It's that level of
Yeah.
production. And then I send a message to all candidates in all those job platforms saying like, hey, thanks for applying to this role. But we actually only use this platform to publish the role. We don't use it to execute the hiring process. So if you really want to apply to the hiring process, you need to watch this video and submit this form. And then I
Mm-hmm.
centralize everyone in a single system, because like they are all scattered around in different platforms, different job platforms, and then I centralize them in a single place by having this form. And the video is
Okay.
actually optional. If they don't want to watch it, that's okay. But um, most candidates watch it because it gives them more chances of success during the hiring process.
Yeah.
And then they submit the form. And the first thing that I do is an automatic compatibility check. So I during the form I ask the candidates to do a self evaluation. So I basically ask them,
Mm-hmm.
rate your English comprehension levels, rate your Angular proficiency, rate your proficiency in UI design, rate your proficiency in RxJS. Like, depending on the row, I have different things that I ask,
Mm-hmm.
and I ask like from 0 to 5, those things. I also ask for their financial expectation, like things like that. And then as soon as the person submits the form, I have a script that is going to look at the answers and then see if there are any big incompatibilities. So, for example, if you are applying for a sales position at Envoid and you have zero proficiency in Angular, I don't care. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's expected, actually. Like, I assume that I'm going to have to teach the sales professionals
Yeah.
about Angular. But if they put their English speaking proficiency low, then that's really important, because a
Mm-hmm.
sales professional is going to communicate with clients directly, and those clients are going to be in the USA, so they're going to speak English fluently. So you can't have like basic or intermediary English. You need to be advanced or fluent. So uh, I have those particular criteria that are really important. And if the candidate doesn't match those things that are really important, I send the person an email saying, hey, we identified those potential points of incompatibility, but
Mm-hmm.
we are not excluding you. If you think that this is a mistake, and if you think that you would be able to work around those points, then
Mm-hmm.
reply to this email explaining why those incompatibility points should be disregarded, and we will advance you in the hiring process. So it's not an
Okay.
exclusion. It's honestly just a warning. It's like, hey, I'm trying not to waste your time. We get
Mm-hmm.
2,000 applications per spot, and the
Mm-hmm.
chances of you getting in with those potential incompatibilities are ridiculously small, but you are the only person that can make this call. So if you want to go ahead, it's okay. We're going to advance you to the first stage of the process. And then
Mm-hmm.
some people agree with the evaluation and they don't even try. Others request the revaluation and go to the next stage. And there are also the ones that didn't even got those incompatibilities and just went straight to the first stage. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what is the first stage? First stage is always a technical test.
Mm-hmm.
So, for sales professionals, for example, I might ask the person to record a video presenting or explaining something. If it's a developer, I'm gonna give them like tests. So, for example, kind of like code wars, so you
Mm-hmm.
have like functions that I'm telling you to implement, and I have a bunch of tests, and your function needs to pass in those tests.
Okay.
And I'm
Okay.
going to evaluate not just if they pass the test, but also the code quality. Like if you wrote docs, if the names are descriptive enough, like I'm going to evaluate all those
Mm-hmm.
things. And if you're a designer, I might ask you to design like a simple page, like, I don't know, maybe a login page, something like that is kind of trivial, but I'm going to give you specific branding guidelines. And I want to see
Mm-hmm.
if your design complies with those branding guidelines. I don't want just something aesthetically pleasing. I want something that has great user experience and also communicates the things that the brand wants to transmit. So that's the first technical stage. I review, well, not me, but somebody from my team that is a professional from the area. So for a design process, a designer is going to review. For a sales process, a sales professional is going to review. And we're not just saying yes or no to the candidates. We give them like an entire feedback. So these are all the
Mm-hmm.
positive points of your task. These are all the negative points. That's our conclusion. And then, so everyone that gets reproved gets this feedback, this detailed feedback. Everyone that gets approved also gets a feedback, because maybe you got approved, but there are still points to improve. And I want you to know that.
Yeah.
Then the second stage is an interview. So that's pretty trivial, nothing super special to say here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but like, I try to make it very complete. It's not a 15-minute interview. Like sometimes it gets to 3 hours, because I
Okay.
want to understand why this person wants to work with this. What
Mm-hmm.
are their motivations? Um, what are their values? If it has synergy with us, um, then I explain what my company does, because I also leave room for the candidate to make questions. Like, I'm not just hiring the person is also hiring me. So I want to leave room for them to ask questions. I explain to them the vision that I have for Envoid, what we are building, and I try to gauge their engagement with this vision. So this can take a lot of time. And then we have a final stage. So even after all that, there's still one more stage because it's
Mm-hmm.
too many candidates, dude. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's 2,000 per spot. This is ridiculous. Most companies don't get like 10% of that per spot. And the last stage is the most intensive real world um, test possible. So for a developer, it might be like a 1 week project, which we do pay for the person to do. So if they get approved or
Mm-hmm.
not, they get paid for their time.
Okay.
For a designer, it might be like designing an application. For a sales professional, it like for every person is gonna be different, but it's gonna be like a real world thing. It's gonna be a simulation of us working together.
And the duration is for a week.
Yep.
Okay. And that's the last process, like you, in terms of developer, I'm saying. So give them a project from your end, and they will create a maybe a GitHub repository and pass it to you, and you evaluate, or how it is.
Yeah. For a developer, for example, I'm going to create a GitHub repository. I am going to create some issues with the entire
Mm-hmm.
specification of what I want the app to be able to do. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm going to see I'm going to take a look at this repository like every day. And again, this is a simulation of us working together. So I make myself
Yeah.
available as if this person was already hired. Like if they have any questions, they can directly contact me because
Mm-hmm.
I am assuming that they were already hired. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really a simulation of 1 week of us working together, but of course working in a fictional project. This is really
Yeah.
important, the part about being a fictional project, because there are a lot of companies that do this like 1 week project or something, and they just steal the ideas of the candidates, don't pay them anything, and just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just basically steal their ideas. And so I would never do that, but I also wanted to make sure that the system would never be corrupted. Like 5 years from now, if my company has 5,000 employees, it would
Mm-hmm.
still be incorruptible because the projects
Mm-hmm.
are fictitious. Like it's not real projects, real things that we want to build or client projects. So there's not even a way for us to steal the candidates' ideas, even if we tried. So that part is also pretty important.
Lot of newer company are now coming with more ethical values. Before 2015 or 2014, if I remember, like lot of people ask their problem to solve on a hackathon, or on a interview, and just try to implement that, and move the candidate forward, for maybe reject them, as you told, without paying. I like the way you told, like this is, I think this I haven't seen anywhere. Like after the final round, the real final round is to give a paid 1 week interview kind of thing, and just try to do the real work. So one good thing here is, if the person is not getting hired also, he or she will have a experience of at least working in a company structure, or how company works, how you need to collaborate with people, and do the things how it need to be done. Because I think for a, if you guys are fresher, you might have a mindset of do everything as uh, what I want to say is as new as possible. Means suppose Angular 15.3 is there, so I will do the project in Angular 15.3. But that's not how it works in all the projects. Means your project might be in Angular 9, your project might be in Angular 12, or my Angular 14. You need to work upon with those project, and according to your teammates. So if your teammates doesn't know something, and and you came to the project, and just trying to push a new technology without a calculating effort of how much time it going to take them to learn, that might be a problem. So uh, getting out of this mindset, I think this 1 week time will also be helpful for them. Yeah, pretty good insight, like how things. But I think when you are saying you like bad resume, at that time something was coming to my mind. I like people are very smart now. They intentionally make their resume bad and send it to you.
Yeah.
I hope
Um,
not, but yeah. So this for the company point of view, maybe so now Onboard is a good company. You are also pretty promoting it in YouTube. You are doing Angular podcast. So I think from a lot of places you might have getting lots of projects. And how you're deciding what to choose, what to lose means, uh, for me, saying no is a problem. I'm working on that, but initially it was a very big problem of saying no. Like you have a fear of, okay, if I'll just miss this, then what happen in later? I will not get any more project. So how you deal with those type of things?
okay. Um, Just one addendum to what we were talking before we move on to this. You were saying that the person, the candidate, even if they don't get hired, they get the benefit of knowing how to work on a team and etc.
Yeah.
They actually don't get too much on that because they have a direct contact with their reviewer, but not with the rest of the team because of security. For example, the person wasn't officially hired, so I can't like expose our internal
Mm-hmm.
projects or things like that. So I don't really allow the candidate to have direct contact with the entire company at this stage, but they do have contact with their reviewer, which is kind of like a client and developer relationship. So it's kind of like they're developing something for a client, but it's a fictitious project. So it helps on that sense, but I can't really say that it's a great experience in terms of teamwork. It's not, it's still a pretty individual project, but we do offer a lot of feedback. So the best benefit for the ones that don't get hired, besides getting paid, is that they get like a very detailed feedback at the end on what was missing for them to get hired.
Mm-hmm.
Like we
Okay.
do like a 3 hour meeting at the end of the person presenting, and then we explaining all the things that could be better, all the things that were great, and like this is generally the thing that is most valuable for the candidates that don't get hired.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, but then okay, let's get into the next subject, which is which projects I say yes to, which projects I say no to, and my philosophy behind saying yes or no, and
Yeah.
like what you mentioned, like this feeling of maybe losing something if you say no to a situation. I think that first of all, it needs to come from a mentality of abundance, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a beautiful thing to say in practice, to say in theory, but it's pretty hard in practice because I don't get like hundreds of client prospects all the time. So when I say no to a project, it hurts because I think like how bigger I could be as a company if I just accepted
Yeah.
those clients and used that money to hire more employees. But to me, what makes me say yes or no to a project is uh, an immense amount of empathy for the client. Like, honestly, it's
Mm-hmm.
100% for the client. What do I mean? The client is using React. Can we do
Mm-hmm.
great work with React? Yes, we can. Are we the best? No. I am definitely sure that there are other companies in the world that would be able to deliver better results in an Angular, in a React based
React.
application, or Vue based application, whatever. There are companies that could do a better job than us
Mm-hmm.
for maybe the same price or even lower. So I can't accept this client knowing that there are other companies that could do better. Oh, Lucas, but there, like most companies would do worse and even be more expensive. Yes, most
Mm-hmm.
companies would be more expensive and would do worse than Envoid. But uh, I have a very limited operational capacity. Like when I say yes to a client, I am definitely saying no to others because it takes a lot of time to hire a developer,
Yeah.
as we were just talking. And even after they are hired, I put them through a training before they start working to clients. Like even the best candidate is not going to be ready on the first day. So
Mm-hmm.
they go through a training that sometimes takes 2, sometimes 3 months for them to
Mm-hmm.
be able to produce work in our quality standards. Before that period, they don't work for client projects. I refuse to put them to work for client projects. They only work for internal projects. That guarantees consistency in the quality of our work for clients. So it's a lot of time invested into making those professionals available. And if I say yes to a project that we would do good or great, I'm also saying no to another project in which we would be exceptional, like we would be the best option in the world. So my thought process is always that, like, how compatible is this project with our areas of expertise? If it's an
Mm-hmm.
Angular based project, then I am 100% comfortable in saying yes. Like, we are definitely the best deal possible for you. I'm not saying that we are the best in the world because, like, if you make a team that is composed only of GDEs, of Google
Mm-hmm.
Developer
Yeah. Yeah.
Experts in Angular, they're going to be better. But, like, we are the
Yeah.
best deal in terms of we are more affordable than a plain developer, but we deliver expert level results.
Like
So
most
for
value for the
Angular,
buck.
yeah, exactly. Like for Angular based projects, we are definitely the best deal. We are not cheap, but we are cheaper than most companies that are
Mm-hmm.
in the premium level. So, like, we are the most affordable company in the premium level. This
Mm-hmm.
is also kind of hard because when clients want the most premium experience, they are usually like okay with paying the highest amount of money. So when they see that we are cheaper than the other premium alternatives, sometimes they may think that we are not as good as them, but most times we're actually better than them. But we
Mm-hmm.
just don't want to be extremely unaffordable. And then for the clients that are looking for something cheap, then it also doesn't work because we're actually more expensive than the cheaper alternatives because we're actually cheap for premium standards. So it's kind of confusing to navigate that, but this is more of a
Yeah.
marketing problem than uh, the problem that a client would have.
Yeah, as you just told, like when you are selecting a project mostly on React or Angular or on different technology, so you might have suppose X number of employee who can do Y amount of work. Now, suppose one more project is coming to you, but your hiring process is suppose maybe for 4 months. Like 1 month will go on screening, 3 months of training. We'll just say for a safer side is 3 months. So how you decide, like you check how many employees you have in your team or maybe in a company, and then you grab the project, or you grab the project and hire people on that.
I never get a project without having the professionals first.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get into a situation where the project is going to demand an amount of professionals that I don't have available right now, I just tell the client how many professionals I have available at this moment and
Okay.
how long it's going to take for me to have the rest of them ready for this client. And
Mm-hmm.
I also always have 40% of buffer. So I always try to maintain 60% of my employees working for clients and 40% working in internal projects. That means that
Okay.
if a client wants to increase the investment, I will have a professional ready because this professional is already ready, but it's not is only working in internal projects. So I use that as a
Mm-hmm.
metric to know when I need to hire more professionals and how many I need to hire. As soon as the amount of professionals that I have um, working for clients gets closer to 50% or 40%, when I get like at 40%, I already think, okay, I have to hire more because it's going to take a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then until I hire those developers or designers and train them, I might already reach 60% of my employees working for clients. So I use that as a metric to know when to hire and how many I need to hire.
Now, suppose a company is watching this, and how they gonna contact you for their project and for your awesome work, because now they have all insights like how good you are hiring, how good your professionals are. Now they can ensure that their product will be good, like it will be on a top-notch standard. Now, now they need to know how they contact you.
Okay. Um, I hope that happens. Super. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Um, well, if a company wants to contact me, they should go to envoid.com.
Hmm.
So it's unvoid.com. And from there, you can take a look at what we do, and then you can go to our contact section and schedule a call directly with me. This is going to
Hmm.
sound like a marketing pitch. It is, but it is true. It's not just a fake um, exclusivity timestamp,
Yeah.
but like for now, if a client wants to talk sales, wants to talk business, they're gonna have a meeting directly with me. And this only
Hmm.
happens because I still have time available in my calendar to talk directly to potential clients. But of course, I'm not going to maintain that forever. Like I have sales professionals, I'm even hiring more. So I have professionals that are extremely capable of conducting those meetings. And
Hmm.
eventually I'm going to have to like focus my time in my other strategic tasks and won't have enough time to conduct those meetings directly myself. But right now, if you go to envoy.com, you're not going to see a section saying talk to us. You're going to see a section saying talk to our CEO. Like quite
Hmm.
literally, if you fill out that form, you're going to get a Calendly link to schedule a meeting directly with me. So
Hmm.
if you are watching this episode and you're interested in what we do, you really care about the quality of your product and you want to advance fast, but also not carry on a lot of tech debt, then
Yeah.
I definitely think that you would be a great fit for what we do. So you can go to envoid.com and contact us. And I'll be honest with you, like if we are not a good match, then I won't accept your money. But I'll try to find you a better solution if we are not the better solution for you.
Yeah, that's great. I think it was a very nice discussion with you, Lucas. I think we have. I think this 1 hour went away. I didn't know that. I just saw the time that it's already 1 hour. So yeah, it's I will not take much of your time. And just to say that it was a very nice discussion. I also got a lot of things, how a company works, real insights of how CEO thinks, how you hire people, because I didn't have this level of discussion with anyone. I think this the main motto of starting a podcast, like learning from good people who are better than me, so that I can be better. So that is the main motto. And also from our discussion, our viewer can also learn, and they also trying to be better in maybe starting a business, or mostly be better at what they are doing. If they are developer, most or all of our audience will be developers. How they will use this content as is, think as a mindset of a employer, as an mindset of a employee, because you are in the both the spectrum, and how you transit them and how you behave. Now I think what I got from you, that you have a passion of doing everything pretty well, and you also care about employee, you also care a lot about the client who giving you some project. So that's the best thing. I think if someone is giving you a project, you will give them your 110% or 200%, and you make you I suspect you might have improvised some idea what they have given. Like they may have asked you do x amount of work, but you might have given like x plus 10 amount of work, because that's how perfectionist you are, by the talk and with our podcast what I saw. And it was my pleasure to have you in the podcast. So thanks again.
Awesome. Again, Sabret, thank you so much. I am extremely flattered to have been the first episode. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I just hope that the audience understand that I'm also a human, and like I also make mistakes. Like not everything
Yeah.
is as perfect. And like I think this is important because I don't want to discourage people to like if you're
Hmm.
listening to this and you have a dream of something that you want to build, or uh, I don't know, like just an idea that you want to see brought to life, and maybe like the image that we're painting of me sounds like this perfect entrepreneur that knows everything that he's doing and is doing everything with perfect care, and everything runs in the highest level of quality ever, and that's the top of the top. And like it's not always like that in practice. Like this is what we strive for, but it's a really really difficult road to get to this point and to maintain this position. So um, I was definitely not um, as great when I started. So
Yeah.
I don't want people to listen to this and be disencouraged. Like if you don't do all of those things, then you're not succeed. It's just I think everyone has a different path, and I quite frankly am very very eager to get to know more people that are in this path of building their own business, because it's very lonely. Like it's difficult to find people that understand the challenges that you have. So I suffered a lot in my friendships because my friends were not understanding my challenges, so
Hmm.
they couldn't really relate to my problems. And it always felt like, oh, Lucas, but you are the CEO. Like my problems are so much worse than yours, and it felt like I couldn't talk about things. So I I am really striving to find and make more friendships of people that either already have their own business or are building their own
Hmm.
business. So if you listen to this episode and you want to connect with me, then like let's do it for real. Like I answer every single message that I get on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can just look for Lucas Paganini on any of these social platforms, and I will answer the messages that you send directly to me. So, yeah, let's connect for real.
Yeah, and all the Lucas details, connection, and everything will be in the description below. So please go ahead and check and spam Lucas LinkedIn. I'm kidding, guys. Just send him a message if you want to discuss with him. Yeah, man. Thank you. So I think maybe we might have multiple episode, because what I felt is like this 1 hour feels like nothing. So I might ask you to come again to the show in your free time. So
I would love that.
thanks again.